When I first moved into the old house on the edge of the city, I thought it was going to be the beginning of a new life. The kind of life I had always dreamed of, quiet, peaceful, far away from the chaos of the city. The rent was suspiciously cheap, but at the time I convinced myself that I had gotten lucky. A new start, a new chance. The house was old, with peeling wallpaper, cracked windows, and floors that creaked under the slightest step. But I told myself that all of this was part of its charm. On that first night, I unpacked only the essentials, set my bed against the corner of the room, and listened to the silence that pressed against the walls. It was then that I heard it, footsteps, slow, deliberate, heavy, above me. I froze, staring at the ceiling, waiting for the sound to come again. But the house had no upstairs, no attic. My mind scrambled for explanations. Maybe it was the old wood shifting, maybe the wind rattling through cracks. I told myself it was nothing. I forced myself to sleep, but on the second night, the footsteps returned, louder this time, more insistent. They moved back and forth, as if someone was pacing directly above my head. My heart hammered in my chest as I gripped the blanket tighter. I whispered to myself, "It's just the house, just the house." By the third night, fear had turned into obsession. I searched the house carefully, tapping on walls, opening every cabinet, pushing furniture away from the corners. And that's when I found an old wardrobe in the hallway, heavier than it should have been. When I moved it aside, I discovered something impossible, a hidden door, behind it, a staircase leading upward. The wood groaned under my feet as I climbed, every step louder in the silence. At the top, a single door stood waiting, scarred and scratched, with words carved into it, "Never open." My chest tightened. My hand shook as I reached for the handle. Every instinct screamed for me to turn back, to leave it alone. But curiosity is stronger than fear. I pushed the door open. The air inside was thick with dust, stale and suffocating. The room was small, almost claustrophobic, and in the middle stood a chair. On it sat a box, wrapped in a faded red cloth. My fingers trembled as I unwrapped it. Inside were photographs, dozens of them. My photographs, me at the grocery store, me walking home from work, me sitting by the window, and the worst of them all, me sleeping in my bed. My stomach turned to stone. These weren't old, they were recent. Some taken only days ago. My breath grew shallow, my hands slick with sweat. And then I heard it, breathing, not mine, not the house, but slow, steady breathing coming from the corner of the room. I turned. Out of the shadows stepped a man, pale, thin, with sunken eyes that never blinked. His face twisted into something that was almost a smile. He whispered, "You weren't supposed to find this." I don't remember how I ran, only that my feet carried me down the stairs, through the hall, and out into the cold night air. The police came quickly after I called them, but when they searched the house, the staircase was gone. The wardrobe stood solid against the wall, with no hidden door behind it. The attic room didn't exist. The photographs were nowhere to be found. They looked at me with suspicion, maybe pity, and told me I was stressed, imagining things. But I knew what I saw. I knew it was real. I moved out within the week, thinking I could escape the nightmare, but I was wrong, because a few days later, I found a box on my new doorstep, wrapped in the same red cloth. Inside was another photograph, me sleeping, taken the night before. My blood turned cold. He had followed me. From then on, the photographs kept coming, every week, sometimes every day, always recent. Always me, eating, walking, laughing with friends, unaware, always watched. The police dismissed it as a prank. They didn't see the terror etched into every new picture. I stopped sleeping properly. afraid of what new photograph would appear if I closed my eyes too long. Then one morning I found a note inside the box. It read, "No matter where you go, I will always find you." I realized then that running would never save me. I needed to know who he was. I began digging into the history of that house. I searched old records, spoke to neighbors, hunted through archives of the library. That's when I learned the truth. 50 years ago, a family had lived there. A father, a mother, and their son. The father was cruel, a violent man who ruled with fear. The mother stayed silent, her eyes always down. And the boy never spoke. He only watched. Neighbors said his eyes were unsettling, that he would stand at windows for hours, staring without blinking. One winter, the family vanished. Some claimed they moved away overnight. Others whispered darker rumors that the father had been murdered, that the mother disappeared, and the boy had never left. My research only deepened the dread, and then my phone buzzed. A new message, no name, no number, just a photograph. It was me, sitting at my desk, reading those very records. The picture had been taken seconds earlier. My chest tightened, my hands shook. I wasn't alone. I spun around, scanning the room, empty, silent, but then I heard it, breathing, that same slow, steady breathing, just behind me. I turned and everything went black. When I woke, I was lying in my own bed. The morning sun streamed through the window. For a moment, I convinced myself it had all been a dream. But on the nightstand, wrapped in red cloth, lay another box. Inside, a single photograph. It was me, eyes closed, mouth slightly open, taken while I slept, and written on the back were 5 words that ended whatever hope I had left. You can't escape me. And so I tell you this now, not because the story has ended, but because it hasn't. Because even as you listen, he may be watching you too.